What is going on, everybody? And I have a question for you guys. Did you enjoy last night presidential debate? Are you a Donald Trump fan? Are you a Kamala Harris fan? How do you feel about immigration, abortion, inflation, grocery prices, nuclear war? How did you feel about that experience overall? Did you actually watch the debate? Or are you just watching clips on social media, small little clips, and then reading the comments and then getting outraged by what everybody else is saying? Well, whether or not you watch the debate, I'm sure if you live in the Western world, if you live in America, you have some type of feelings about it. And for the most part, it's more than likely negative. It's more than likely hostile. It's more than likely just not good. So in this video, what I want to talk to you about is how to use this presidential election, the 2024 presidential election, on practicing the art of letting go. Now, if you don't know, my name is Louis Cavanico. I'm a massage practitioner and certified personal trainer. I'm also a vet, and I've been a trainer since 2014, a massage therapist since 2017. And I've been also practicing self-help or reading self-help for about 14 plus years. But it wasn't until 2020 when I recently found books like The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer and Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins that I started to really mess with this idea of surrender, letting go, release work. And I've tweaked it along the way the last 4 years, and I've been playing with it. And I'm starting to realize more and more how to apply it to my everyday life. Like when stuff actually happens, when I start to get triggered, when I start to get disturbed, when I start to get angry, fearful, when I start to feel grief, when I start to feel fear. Even right now, as I'm making this video, I'm starting to just experience a host of feelings. Uncertainty. Like right now, I'm not even sure what's the next thing I'm supposed to say. But what I want to do is talk to you about how to use this presidential election to heal. Because right now, if you live in America, the country is a little hostile. It's in need of healing. It's in need of release work, letting go, surrender everything I've been working on the last 4 years, everything I've been preaching the last couple of years, more so the last 6 months to a year. And this is a perfect time to practice because one of the things they say in self-development is like you can't control the outside world. You can't control what's going to happen on the outside. I mean, you could try to manipulate and claw your way to control things, but the only thing that you can control is how you feel. But what they don't say in the self-development world is how you feel is not always up to you right away, because we have a lot of things inside of us that's messing us up. We have a lot of samskaras, as the yogis would say, impressions, memories. And what I want to talk to you today is how to use this presidential election, no matter how you feel, whether you're for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, whether who you want to win. I'm going to talk to you about how to actually use this presidential election to actually heal. So first things first, you have to become aware when you get disturbed. So if I say the name Donald Trump, especially if you hate him, and if just hearing that name, it triggers you, it angers you, it's like, oh my God. What I want you to do is become aware. What are you feeling, right? Now let's say it's anger. Let's say it's anger, because usually with people that hate Donald Trump, It's anger. My question to you is, how do you know that you're angry? How do you know? More than likely, you're going to become aware of the body. You're going to notice you clench your jaw. You're going to notice you clench your neck. Maybe there's a knot in your stomach. So that's the first step, right? Or it might be Kamala Harris. You know, some people on the right think Kamala Harris is going to be a communist. When I say Kamala Harris or Democrats, how do you feel? And how do you know? Again, if it's angry, if it's fearful, how do you know? Where in the body can you locate it? Because letting go, surrender, is all about feeling, getting out of the analytical mind and feeling back into the body. This is why when I talk about stretch and grow a lot in this YouTube page, that's why I preach a lot of stretching. The stretches are not made to get you more flexible, to believe it or not. I mean, it's nice. But the idea of using stretching for me is to get you to become more aware of the body. Because if you're stretching out your neck right now, you'll actually feel into the experience. Because me being a trainer since 2014, I learned really, really early that most people aren't aware of their body. Most people never even felt their body. How do I know? I remember I had one guy doing bicep curls, like he was doing something like this. And I was like, oh, you feel it in your biceps? And he's like, yeah. And he like pointed back here. Like the muscle that was working was actually here. Like they were so detached from their body, they didn't know what they were feeling. And a lot of us are really, really detached from our body. So the first step is becoming more and more aware of your body. So when I say Donald Trump, when I say Kamala Harris, when I say abortion, how do you feel about abortion? How do you feel about grocery prices right now? How do you feel about nuclear war? I recently just watched an interview with this woman. She was saying that if we were to go to nuclear war, within 72 minutes, 5 billion people would probably be dead. How does that make you feel? Hearing this. Does it scare you? How do you know? More than likely, you're going to become aware of it in the body. So that's step one, is locate the feeling, right? Step number two, when I say all of this, when you become aware of the feeling that you want to let go of, or the sensation in the body, step number two is to accept it. Don't resist it no more. Don't push it away. Don't go on YouTube and try to find a funny video to block it out, to distract yourself. Or don't express it. Don't get online because you're mad at Donald Trump or you're mad at Kamala Harris and you want to fight with people. Right now, within the last 24 hours, I've visited a couple of friends who are telling me about the debate because I didn't actually get to watch the debate. But they're like arguing with people on Facebook. You don't have to express it. You're not going to change their mind. You're not going to change a family member who's on the other side's mind by arguing with them. And you expressing it, getting triggered by it, makes it even worse for you because the more you express something, the more you give it power. In a future video, I want to make a video on why I don't think people should be really expressing their emotions. That's very controversial. And the reason for it is because it's not them actually expressing the emotion. It's usually the emotion taking over and the emotions doing the expressing. And I'm sure you guys might be a little bit confused by this, but have you ever gotten angry and did something and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know what came over me? Well, that wasn't you. That was the emotion that took over. And what happens is the more you express a negative emotion or emotion you don't want, emotion that's not healthy for you, the easier and easier it gets for it to take over. So what you have to learn how to do is accept it, be with it. It's going to suck though. But this is how you heal. Pain is the pathway to freedom. You have to go through the pain in order to be free. You have to die in order to be reborn. So step number two, accept it. Let it be there. Locate it. So if it's fear, it might be in the gut. If it's anger, it might be in the jaw. Sit with it and say, yo, you could be there. Don't fight with it. And guess what? Allow more of it to come up. And guess what's going to happen? It's probably going to get worse. But even though it's getting worse, this is actually, you're allowing more and more suppressed, stored trauma to come up. That way you'll be able to release it. So after you become aware of the feeling and where and locate it, step number 2 is to accept it and let it be. Allow it to come up. Don't resist it. Sit with it. The third step is to let it flow. Now, the more you practice this, you might not be able to get it on the first time, but trust me, over the next, what is it? The election is in 2 months. Over the next 2 months, you're going to feel a host of feelings. More than likely, it's going to be the same feeling over and over. It's probably, for a lot of people, it's probably going to be anger and hostility. When it comes up, allow it to flow. So once you accept it, it's going to start to flow. Now, it might not happen on the first time, but trust me, we got a lot of practice over the next 2 months. What you'll notice is, let's say it's anger and it's stuck in the jaw and you're sitting there with it. What is going to happen over time, the more and more you allow it to come up, the more it will actually start to move and flow. So this anger might actually turn into something else, like sadness. Or if it's fear, it might turn into anger. From there, once you allow it to flow, you go back to step number 2. When it flows to a different emotion, you sit there with it. You allow it to be there. Again, you don't have to express it. You don't have to tell people how you feel. You don't have to get on Facebook or Twitter and scream at people and try to convince people. You could just sit there with it. You don't have to distract yourself from it, which I know a lot of people do. Because when you distract yourself from it and you push it down, you push what you're feeling down and you ignore it, we all know it comes up later on and it really, really gets out of hand. So remember, it's not about suppression. It's not about expression. It's about experiencing. So this is how you experience your actual emotions. Now, the more you practice this, you become aware of it, you let it be there, you tell it it's safe for it to come up, then it starts to flow, and it's usually going to flow into another emotion. The last and final step that you do is you let it go. How do you let it go? Usually it'll just happen on its own. But what you could do is sit there with it and actually visually, when you're ready, imagine you're pulling yourself away from it, or imagine that you're floating above it. And it's a weird thing, but when you start to practice this, you'll intuitively know how to do it. And what will start to happen is you start to feel a whole lot lighter, a whole lot more loose, a whole lot more relaxed, to the point where you could hear the name Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. You could hear about the word abortion, inflation, nuclear war, immigrants. And the feelings that you had about it, yeah, you could still have an idea about it, but you won't be as charged. You won't be as hostile. You'll be more calm about it. You'll be more collected. You'll be more logical. You'll be more reasonable. You'll be willing to hear the other side and see where they're coming from. Because I believe a lot of us are in the middle. A lot of us have more in common than you think. Because what it is, and how do I know this? Because I've worked with over 200 clients. And I've had clients on both sides. And they have very, very common values. They just don't know it. Because they think the other side is batshit crazy. Why do they think this? Is because it's what's seen on social media. Understand that social media is only going to show you the extremes on both sides. So if you're on the left, right? If you're on the right looking at the left, you're seeing like maybe people who believe that kids should transition at the age of 3, to where that infuriates the right. And if you're on the left, what you're seeing on the right is white supremacists, Nazis. And you're thinking everybody that votes for Trump or everybody that votes for Kamala is like this. When the truth is, those are the only people that get views. The people that are crazy on both sides. It's the same thing when I see these men versus women topics. Usually you see crazy men or crazy women. And then what if a man sees a bunch of crazy women on his timeline or his algorithm, he starts to believe all women are like that. It's like, no, that's the women that are going to get the views. And the same thing with the man. You see the men that are crazy, that are like extreme, that think a certain way about women. Then women think all men are like that because that's what they're seeing on their timeline. So what I'm saying is a lot of us are more common than you think. And when you start practicing this work of release work, letting go, like I said, it's very, very simple. Become aware of your feelings. It's usually in the body somewhere, locate it. Once you become aware of it, allow it to be there. Don't resist it. Don't express it. Don't suppress it. Experience it. And once you start to experience it, sit with it, it's going to be uncomfortable. More and more of it's going to come up. It's not going to happen in one setting where you'll be able to let it go, especially if this is the first time you're practicing this. Third thing that's going to happen over time is it's going to start to flow, usually transmute to another emotion. And you just do the same process. You go back to step 2 or step 1, come aware of it, allow it to be there, allow it to flow. And then over time, when you keep on doing this more and more, you'll be able to let it go. You'll be able to pull back from it. And you know when it happens because you'll start to feel a whole lot lighter, a whole lot more loose, a whole lot more present. So what I'm urging you guys to do is use this presidential election to actually heal. Remember, you can't control the outside world, but we could work on controlling our inside world. And that's the message for today. Please practice this. And if you haven't read the book Until the Soul by Michael Singer or Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by David Hawkins, please read it right now. Go get it. Order it. Go to Amazon right now and read it. All right, so hopefully you guys liked the video. If you liked the video, please like. Also, please comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Maybe you just think I'm full of shit. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Peace.